Nothing is so beautiful as spring. The poet George Manley Hopkins wrote. And Lent, as you probably know, is an Old English word from Old English for spring. Okay, so it's springtime in the church. Okay, it's springtime in the spiritual irrigation of your soul. It's a springtime of purification, of new life as things bud again after the winter frost, the winter cold. Spring is a transition. Okay, so too the spiritual life. Okay, spring is new life. It's new beginning. It's this new budding, in your life. By the way of purification and by the way of denial. Okay, that's one of it. To regain the beauty of tranquility of soul, to regain the beauty of self-composure in Christ, the beauty of gazing upon the one who loves us. That's spring, I suppose. That's Lent. And to look upon the one who loves us in Lent is to look upon the cross of Jesus Christ. Okay, it's to look upon the divine lover. It's to look upon the beauty of the divine action, of the divine coming into the human, subhuman, sub-animal, sub-animate world, to bring it into the glory of God in some way, especially human beings. So it's to look at a world transfigured by the shape of the cross, transfigured by the shape of God's action in the world through Jesus Christ. That's Lent. Okay, it's to come back to that time when Bernardo says we were younger than sin. Okay, because the deepest inheritance of the human being, our deepest legacy is not sin. Sin is not intrinsic to us. Okay, it's not innate to us, you could say. Sin in Greek is harmatia, so it means missing the mark. It means falling short of who I am. It means being less than myself. It means being something I'm not called to be. It's being the shadow of myself. It's falling for the shadow, you could say. It's ways we can talk about sin. So when the archers missed the mark, when they were trying to hit a target and they missed, they would call it sin. Okay, that's sin. Okay, and that's the story of our life. Okay, misshapen, discolored, just out of shape. That way. And Lent, we go into Christ as into a mirror. Okay, we begin to look in the mirror of ourselves by looking at Christ. So the Lenten observances, the things we take on, fasting, prayer, almsgiving, or whatever you're going to do, your Lenten observance, your Lenten resolution this year, is so that you can see more clearly in the mirror. Okay? You can see the image of Christ in the mirror and where I am not him, where I am not like him. Okay? Where I have vices, little tendrils in my soul, and where I need to grow virtues. Okay, things that flower and bloom and become like Christ. Yeah, so we have to be, I suppose, aware of our impulses. We live today in a world of celebrity and fame. We live in a way in which we want to win the whole world. Okay, But Jesus says, okay, for a man to have won the whole world and to have lost and ruined his very self. Okay, so to go after the wrong prize with the wrong motivations, stemming from pride, trying for super excellence, is not, I think, the Christian way. Okay, it's not following Christ into the mirror of our soul. And we may not be doing it always consciously. Do you understand? To be a world beater, to be number one, to be the best. Okay? Now, that's different to strive and become the best person I'm called to be. Okay? The striving for excellence is part of the Christian life. But it's not the super excellence of my own vanity, of the world's renown. That's how we can. I'm sure it happens. That's how people ruin or lose their very self. In striving with Jesus Christ, through Jesus Christ, in Jesus Christ for what is good and true and beautiful, there's not the loss of that integrity of self. We as human beings, we don't dissolve into the divine. We're not absorbed. We retain our unrepeatability, our ineffableness, our uniqueness. Even in God, even before God. Okay, so it's not absorption, okay, it's not loss of the self into the divine. But there is a loss of those things that are not me. Okay? There is a loss of perhaps things I cling to. There is probably a loss of my own overindulgence in the creature. Created things. Chocolate, YouTube. I don't know. Those things. And it's good, for pure in heart, to know that as well. Because if you ended up in the state of marriage, holy matrimony, you'll also need a mirror. The mirror will probably be your spouse, okay? Okay. And all those wrong impulses, those wrong motivations, that superweening pride, which looks for super excellence, is going to come out. Okay, so you need to have a grounded spiritual life. Do you understand? You have to have true self-composure in Christ. You have to be able to keep your wits about you, okay, in marriage, because those things are going to come out. That selfishness, that egoism is going to surface. Okay, so what's Jesus saying in today's gospel about losing your life and saving it at the same time? It's just that paradox of self-giving. That in giving ourselves in this way to our spouse, to our family, to our domestic situation, we become more ourselves. In losing ourselves, we save ourselves. In following Christ, we lose and we save at the same time. Not our integral dignity, but something thwarted or something off course, something prideful, you could say. Does that make sense? Yeah, something like that. So that's the way I would read today's gospel. Okay, so don't follow the YouTube culture. don't follow don't follow the celebrity culture. Do you understand? Sometimes it's off course. Okay. It's on the way to loss, of what's true about us. It can be on the way to ruin of one's true self, okay? So we're called to something deeper. And Lent helps us. Lent facilitates that. Lent is getting us back on track, getting us back on the right course, on the right inwardness, on the right way of looking at the one who loves us and makes us what we are.